How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Brooks Running reminds us that we're all powered by something. Whether it's the me-time energy of a run after a day at the office, the electrifying energy of your first marathon, or the infectious energy of a group run with your friends. No matter what energy powers you, Brooks has gear specifically designed to unleash it. So lace up and let it out. Let's run there. Visit brooksrunning.com today to learn more.
Welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast, along with my partners, Brian Siegler, Jonathan Talley, our contributing writer, Miranda Wilhelm. I am Curtis Wilson. Jonathan Talley has unfortunately been ruled out for tonight. He's a little bit under the weather, so he will not be joining us. Talley, get better, man. You know we miss you here, but as always, we are brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts down at the Counts Family Pharmacy, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, set 301 South Main Street in Blacksburg. Drawing was delayed on the PS5. It should be taking play this week. Jeremy let me know just a ton of transfers and stuff happening, probably with the stuff going on with the pharmacy with the name change. So if you're student, family member, register for that, don't worry, it's coming.
Again, let me know if y'all need to send it to Curtis. I've got his address. I can get you hooked up.
Por favor.
He's good for it.
I'm good for it. Yeah, I'm really good for it. Well, let's start here tonight. We have for the first time joining us, and she will be joining us off and on through the season and in the off season. Miranda, how are you tonight?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me in general and tonight. Crashing the boys' party.
Crashing the boys' party. Yes, you are.
Hey, we got to bust it up a little bit, right?
Miranda, you're going to hang out with us while we do Tell the Truth Tuesday. You've obviously got to jump off and take care of some things after that, but let's get to know you a little bit. So first of all, you are a Tech alum, correct?
Yes.
What year did you graduate?
2008.
Oh, y'all remember those years.
It was so many good years. I was there just...
What years were you
You were
there?
living the dream there.
04 to 08. So first year, the ACC, Brian Rand. I mean, it was a dream.
Oh, God, 04, Brian.
That 04 team gives me chills.
Memories.
Oh, gosh.
No,
okay. So
yeah.
04, oh, man.
I love that
years.
04 team, man. I love that 04 team so much. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, hold on. So we're going to get to know a few other things about you. So 04 to 08.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your favorite Hokie? Because that's a tough one. I mean, there are some absolute studs there in that period.
Like football Hokie in that time period?
In that time period.
The only reason I'm going to say Ryan Randall is because in whatever, I forgot what year it was, I tweeted him because I saw him driving down to North Carolina. And he tweeted me back, and I thought that was super cool because I was like, he doesn't need to tweet some random chick. So, and he ushered me into Hokie football experiences. So he just kind of set the tone. He was such a class act, and yeah.
All right, Brian Rail, that makes sense here. Now, go back in the memory bank. First of all, what was your first game? Or pre-student.
First year or first game at Lane was Western Michigan. We walloped them. And I was like, man, I chose a good school. And I chose them for football. oddly enough, between JMU and Virginia Tech. And I was like, I'm going with the football school. Little did I know, like years down the road, we lose to JMU, but whatever. I think we beat them by like 60 some points, if I'm not mistaken, that game.
I feel like that was right because I think that was after the USC game.
Yes, yes.
It was after the USC game.
I moved into my dorm the day we played USC and watched that. Yeah, we lost to them, and then we came out swinging at home against,
I still the USC game that OPI that was not is still to this day.
Oh, it's the what if OPI
To this
of all
day.
time. I was hammered at my apartment in Longwood.
Yeah,
throwing things when they call that penalty.
Hey, while we're here, we're at a decent little pivot point here. Let's go ahead and shout out Ethan. Ethan tweeted at us today. He said he was going to be here. He's here. Welcome aboard.
Cool.
Also, as always,
LeVar in the house.
Love
you, LeVar. Who else is always in the house?
We can't forget Kevin Drones.
Can never forget Kevin Drones. Kevin. Oh, man. And a lot of other good stuff going on here.
We got Thomas in the house.
Tib
and David.
His senior year was the 04 with number 3 being a legend.
So great.
We were right in the midst of our college career at that point, so that was a good year. But actually, I'm sure I've told this story. I don't know if I've told this to Miranda, but Brian's brother Brandon was my RA at Hampton Sydney, so that was always a pretty fun interaction there. Anytime Brian would make the trip down to Hampton Sydney.
That's so cool! Wow,
That's very awesome. Cool. Very cool.
Love it.
All right, Miranda, before we get into, Tell the Truth Wednesday, you do some other ventures out there, and I definitely you've obviously got your Twitter handle up there, which all of you guys and girls who are out there tonight following and watching us, follow her on Twitter. So we are pushing to try to get her into the press conferences. We've been working on that. Hopefully soon she'll be there, maybe asking some questions. But you do some other stuff, obviously related to football. So go ahead, pump that out of what you do, where they can find your writing when it comes to the NFL stuff.
Yeah. So I've been contributing to a site called Draft Countdown this is my 3rd season. Just a weekly content, sometimes a little bit more. The whole site is kind of centered around the draft, but they wanted a psycho fanatic like me to come on board and kind of bridge the gap, because all they centered everything on was like prospecting and all rookie stuff. And they were like, you know what, let's kind of bring it all together. And, even before I got into college and college football, like NFL's kind of been my bread and butter. So you can find my stuff at Draft Countdown every Sunday usually. And then the draft season is pretty crazy.
You gotta rep your team and let us know how your quarterback's doing.
Oh yeah, what's the issue on there?
He was not practicing today, which is not surprising, but the coach is doing the thing. LaFleur is like, he's not ruled out for Sunday, and I'm like, yes, he is. Like, don't play him on an injured MCL. That's
they threw the doubtful label on him in the fantasy apps. So I'm like, he's not fucking playing. Just go ahead and put that.
He's not playing until October. Let's just put that.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, week 4 against the Vikings. That sounds reasonable. So, anyways, that was kind of a blow. Week 1. Looked forward to football for so many months. Then I was like, well, could have been worse. So.
Could have been worse.
I have him in both of my fantasy leagues. And thankfully, I've got a decent backup in both of them. So I've got Tua in one league, and I've got Baker in another. So if Baker keeps up his week 1 performance, I think I'll be okay.
Baker looked good. Granted, it was the Commanders, so I don't know.
It
was the Commanders. That is true. All right. Well, now let's get to it, y'all, because we do have to tell the truth tonight about what happened in the Hokies. I mean, let's just say it. 31-14 win. This is a winning week versus the Marshall Thundering Herd. So let's start with what went well. And I'm going to start this because a lot of people were hub-drubbing and pissed off. Like, we only beat them by 17. Do y'all remember what happened last year when we played them? Everybody go back in your memory banks, go onto the line and find. We did not beat this team last year. So get your heads out of your asses about a 17-point win. We lost to this team last year. And to get a 3-score win, was it the prettiest 3-score win? No, it was not. That's an improvement. If you lose to them last year and you beat them the next year, it's an improvement. I am very sorry. I'm a little bit.
I see that, buddy. You're fired up. And when we look at the way the game went, it was kind of a mirror of last year's game where we came out firing. We were running the ball well to start the game, and then went away from it, and the offense fizzled, and then we never really got our footing back. And we kind of played a reverse of that, right? We kind of came out a little uneven, but I will say we didn't get a lot of points of it, but in the first half, the ball was moving. We just couldn't put drives together. It wasn't like Vanderbilt, where at Vanderbilt, it felt like we never got anything going that entire first half offensively. The ball was moving. We just weren't able to put those drives together. We weren't able to put 3 successful plays together often enough in that first half to really put points on the board. And then things kind of flipped again, like Curtis alluded to in the second half. And, we're out there, if we play in the second half, if we play every quarter like we play in the second half, I think we'll be a pretty damn good team. But we just haven't put 4 quarters together yet.
Sheldon, what do you think about that, man?
I mean, tale of two halves, right? Like first half, you look like you can't run the ball at all, and you're in a dogfight with a team you should be kind of running over. And then second half they start pounding the ball and kind of break through there. So I'm kind of half and half with Curtis. Like, yes, I think you should always a 3-score win. You should never take winning for granted. They got the job done. They look mostly pretty competent, especially on defense. Yeah. But at the same time, there was room for improvement. Some things could have done better. I think this upcoming week will be a pretty good test to see how they can handle a roster opponent that they should take care of business of. But yeah, I mean, it's a 3-score win, so you don't want to be too mad, but at the same time, kind of focus on things that can go better. I'm sure we'll talk about that tonight.
Absolutely, Miranda. Anything on just the win in general?
Well, kind of like what Shelton just said, like tale of two halves. Obviously, yes, that's exactly how it went down. And I almost kind of attribute both to coaching to some degree. They came out sluggish. To me, there's a little coaching in there. You're not setting your players up for success, coming out the gates. But they're able to come out the half very adjusted and establish the run and just look like a whole new team. So you got to give them credit there for doing what they needed to do at the half. And so it's a little bit of a weird day, but like you said, a win's a win.
Win's a win. And you're right. It is a little bit on coaching because now we're seeing this whole we are a slow team out the gate.
Yep.
When this thing got rolling last year, with the exception of playing 3 of the best teams in the league, the other games, it was hot out of the gate, super hot out of the gate. And we only had really 4 second half possessions. We score on 3 of them. But to your point, Miranda, the adjustments on halftime are working. Now, Shelton, Brian, I'll throw it to y'all. What are y'all, or actually all 3 of y'all, what are we seeing? What is coming out of the half? Because it's clearly something. Is it just somebody hitting them, over the shoulder with a whistle, like, get your head in gear, go play?
I'm just not convinced that this staff is doing a great job of making adjustments on the fly. I think they need to see it, look at it, take some time to calculate, and then they come back out and they look different. So that's when you have games like last year, I think with ACC opponents, the things we saw with ACC opponents, especially common opponents that we play every year that we've got a decent amount of tape on, we looked very prepared to start the game. You think Pitt, you think UVA, you think Wake, you think BC.
Boston, BC.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of tape on those teams, even with some of the tweaks they have. We kind of know what to expect there. I think we're probably a little lucky in that a lot of the opponents we're getting out of conference this year are common from last year. I mean, you get ODU,
Very true.
you get Marshall, you got Rutgers coming up. So Vanderbilt was really the only wild card there. So maybe that bodes well long term. And I think when we looked at week one, looking at the offense, we didn't throw the ball well. We came out throwing the ball out the gate, but what we didn't do a good job of was protecting. I think they were playing a lot of four shell, playing a lot of zone, making Kyron hit a lot of tight windows there. So, I think they had a good game plan to kind of slow us down out the gate. And I think until we got really leaning on that rushing attack, we weren't really able to get those sustained drives in the first half. And that was a big factor.
Yeah, I think oftentimes in sports discussions there's a tendency to conflate poor performance with lack of effort. I have no doubt in my mind that the guys on this team, came out ready to play. They want to win. They want to execute, but sometimes you just don't, and it just boils down to lack of execution and a delay in the coaching adjustments necessary. I agree with Brian. I think for whatever reason the staff seems a little bit slow to make those adjustments. I don't know why that is, but you look at the first half, Marshall played a lot of cover three. They dropped guys in zone. They forced Kyron Jones to read the field. I thought sometimes it was a case of poor communication on the protections. Now, maybe that's an issue with Braylon Moore and the offensive line being kind of new there. Sometimes the guys weren't getting open, and sometimes it was just a numbers game. Marshall was dropping too many guys that we didn't have anyone open, in the first place. And they couldn't get a really good push off the ball, trying to run the ball. So it was a combination of factors. I think there's a lot of blame to go around, and certainly Jones has to, keep progressing. But yeah, it just seems like the staff, really excels at halftime when they can look over the iPad and, they got 10 minutes to go over all their notes and just, talk about everything collectively. But for some reason, when it's kind of on the fly, when they're, in the midst of the heat of battle, they just aren't seeing those adjustments. So whatever those are, I mean, we'll see if they can get better at that. But I don't think it's a question of the players wanting to come out and play hard. I know they want to play hard. It's just they're not set up in the right position right away, and it's just taking time for the coaching staff to put them in those positions to be successful.
You got anything on this, Miranda?
No, I 100% agree. And it just goes back to I don't know if I said this here or I said it to Brian before the show, but he mentioned, yes, we were doing things with the ball in the first half, right? The blame goes around a little bit. You come out a certain way, that's fine. Offensive line was a little shaky. We went 1 and 9 on third down in the first half. That's not good. But again, doesn't fall on one person, right? And we didn't make those adjustments that we needed to, so we didn't score a lot of points. Luckily, our special teams and defense was present.
Absolutely, that was
shout out to them.
Shout out to the defense, and definitely shout out to the special teams with Jaylene, because even though I've got that in another category for another reason in a little while, Jaylene, that was an amazing run back. There was no doubt about that.
It was set up well, but that was just like an immense individual effort by him getting in the end zone there. So one of the better run backs that I've seen on a punt. So and really something that kind of got us out of our, I think a lot of times there's some mental aspects there, right? Because you come out, you don't have a good first half against Vanderbilt. You come out, you're getting some yards, but you're not able to put drives together, not able to put points on the board. That starts to play with your mentals a little bit. So kind of getting that first half touchdown off your shoulders a little bit, that was so huge, I think, for their confidence going into the rest of the game. And I think it really kind of showed, getting that monkey off their back a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about these three guys next, because when the second half happened, when we started running the ball, it became super effective regardless who was in the backfield between Tugboat Tootin. Yeah, I said Tugboat. If y'all didn't see the chain, go check that out. That's all-time chain. And then Malachi Thomas with some good runs, PJ Prelu also with some good runs. All four guys average in their carries over 4.5 a carry, with Bashal and Malachi over 5.5. So, Sheldon, what's the numbers on these guys, PFF grades for the game? Because clearly, those three guys, 193 combined rush yards.
Yeah, well, Malachi Thomas only got 10 snaps, but he was really well graded, 77 per PFF. And then Tootin, you mentioned 113 yards on 22 carries. He was around 65, which is kind of right around average, but did well statistically. And what he did really well was force 7 missed tackles. So he's now up to 10 missed tackles forced on the season, which is top 25 in FBS. Kind of similar story as last year, just his ability to break away from defenders. If you lead the country in that stat, it's kind of like your O-line should be doing a little bit better, but we kind of know that we know that he's got that in him, so not gonna knock him for that, but it's still a pretty impressive accomplishment. So and Curtis, we were talking about this earlier in the week, but looking at the team stats for VT rushing wise, 64% of the yards were after contact, and I mentioned that stat to you. VT this season ranks 99th in yards before contact per rush. So overall, they're not doing a great job of, getting running backs to that second level before they get touched. And so that's why we see Tootin having to keep, getting missed tackles forced. So, I think you've got a situation where the O-line is, a little bit underperforming a little bit, and you kind of have to, rely on the running backs to make plays happen. And they certainly did that on Saturday.
Yeah, Miranda, let me get your take, because when we come out half, it's 10-7. It's not the best feel in the world. It's like it's a 3-point game. When you saw that opening drive, boom, and then boom, and then what was your thoughts on that? Like sitting there, I'm sure you were drinking a cold one or a cocktail. And you just saw this, and the ball just kept moving.
Well, it's like what I know you especially preach. We did what we needed to do, and we're like, "Hello, look, it's working." More of that, and I don't care who gets the ball. If we're confusing them that way, do that. I mean, obviously, Bashal is the guy, but everyone's been serviceable, so. I love it. I'd love to see more of it.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is that we've seen that the running game can be consistent, right? And we saw some things. We started to see some bread and butter, a little bit of identity in the second half there. Outside zone was looking pretty good, pretty consistent. A lot of split zone. Counter was hitting pretty well, so we were kind of getting into those bread and butter plays. The only thing that we haven't gotten into, and I know Sheldon's talked about it as well, is that toss. We still haven't quite gotten.
What happened to the toss?
What
happened to the toss?
The seal is not there, and a couple times, it's just our tight end's not getting out there to kind of wall that outside linebacker or that safety to open up that lane, but. If we get that working, I think we might be onto something.
Okay, they need to go.
That gives us a little bit of variety with how we can attack in the rushing game.
They need to go watch the 49ers and how we did that with Jordan Mason on Monday night on the short side of the field with those tosses. I mean,
everyone can learn from Shanahan.
Perfect lane. I mean,
yeah, seriously.
Like when you see that though, because I think to Sheldon's point, we saw that last year. We saw that little pitch toss work last year to the outside. And again, what does that do? That puts linebackers on skates, because now if they see something like that, their first intuition is to take the outside step. And if you do that fake and then you go inside zone, it's like, well, they're dead. They're going to be on skates. You're going to be out of position. All right, a couple more things. I want to go to defense because we got to keep the best one for last. What a bounce back by Minnesota Lane. I mean, he got torched by Vandy. And this week, Sheldon, I didn't know, were you able to get the PFF stats on him?
So I don't have the actual grade, but I can tell you his coverage when targeted. So
yeah,
Marshall went after him 8 times. They were 1 for 8 for 25 yards, an interception, and 2 pass breakups. So he was locked.
And the one catch
down.
was the Moss play that probably was a offensive pass
interference,
but still a hell of a catch.
Yeah,
Man,
no, I saw that. I told my friends that was the greatest catch I've ever seen live, like ever.
That's right, Sheldon.
I don't know
you
how
were in
that
the
dude
house.
caught that ball. Yes, I was right. I was near the plate too. Like that was just insane.
That's so cool.
So like now we go to week 1 and it's like we're expecting the duo. Dorian balls, Mansour gets torched. I mean, Brian, I don't know if y'all got to watch the tape or anything like that. I mean, was it just, and don't get me wrong, Christian Fitzpatrick and their other guy, they're not small human beings. They're not, I think Fitzpatrick, who mossed him, is 6'4", like 220. He's a massive human being to be at wideout. But was it just technique? What did y'all see or read or whatever and say, how did he have such a good bounce back game?
Comfort and confidence. I mean, he looked a lot more fluid in his movements, and he looked like he knew kind of where things were going. I don't know if the preparation was different this week. I'm not sure what exactly flip switch from a confidence standpoint, but completely different player this week, and played with a lot of swagger that we're kind of accustomed to. So it was good to see him kind of get back into that vein and play with that confidence, because playing corner, you got to be confident. If you're not confident playing corner, you're a liability.
100%. All right, one other defensive stat I want to go to real here. And y'all may have looked it up. Do y'all know how many pass deflections we had against Vanderbilt?
It wasn't many.
Less. No. 2. They accounted
against Vanderbilt. Yep, 2.
2 pass deflections. 2 pass deflections. They went 600% better this week. We had 12 pass deflections. Most Phillips, Kalai Lawson led the way with 3. Most with 2. Jalen Jones with 2. Mansour with 2. Dante Lovett with 2. Caleb Spencer with 2. Wow. So that makes me feel a lot better, because it tells me we were in the right position so many more times this week. Obviously, the Mansour and the interception combo was perfect, because they were exactly where they were supposed to be. They were exactly where they're supposed to be. Somebody said, well, Mansour looked out of place. You look where Most was. No, that was a zone concept, clearly where they were. Because why is Most going to be underneath? Why is he going to be coming over top? Probably a cover 2 concept of some type. But it was perfect. So going forward, do we hope to see this more? Or how can we see this? Why such a flip, in y'all's opinions?
I think that, just looking at the way that they were attacking us, I think we looked a lot more prepared on defense for the offense that came out and what we were expecting as far as how they were going to attack our defense. We got kind of what we expected. I think I'm not sure what was going on with the defense against Vanderbilt, whether it was rotations not being what they wanted to be, whether it was just not truly being prepared scheme wise to approach that shotgun triple option look. But we did not look like a prepared defense. We looked a lot more prepared this week. We looked like we knew what was coming at us, and we knew how to adjust to that. So that's the big difference for me. And I think when you have a offense that you can actually pin your ears back a little bit more and go after, that lets you play more man. You can mix up your man a lot more. And I think that's where our bread and butter is when we can go after the passer, play a lot more man. We look a lot better as a defense.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely seem more confident, and obviously Marshall runs the air raid, so expect him to throw a lot more. But I just thought they're more aggressive, more confident, and with the lane. Honestly, I was never worried about Mansour for a second. Like he had 2 years of a really good body of work, played one poor game. He's been a baller since day one. So you kind of figured he was gonna have a bounce back. And credit to Pete B on Hokie Twitter for this stat. So the nine PBUs for the Hokies were the most since 2016. That was Fuente's first season against Miami. So pretty impressive pretty impressive streak there.
All right, Miranda, you got anything on this? Anything on the pass breakups? Anything you saw while watching the game Saturday?
Same. I'm just echo everything. To me, it just, you come out with swagger, turnaround game after, and like Brian said, maybe it's a matter of just you have the tape, you played this team last year, you were just more prepared to be in the right place at the right time, and you didn't have to make those on the fly adjustments, but whatever it was, it worked. So more of that.
All right, I'm gonna answer this question real quick here. They had 20 more passing attempts, Robbie. Vandy only passed the ball 16 times. Marshall went for 36. So obviously more opportunities, but seriously, 16 to 36 is not a 600% gain on that. So
don't fucking remind me, Yost.
All right, let me go real quick. Last one. I'm gonna pitch it to Miranda. Give me your exact feelings on the Stephen Gosnell catch.
Oh my gosh. I was drinking a lot of beers, and I think I was sitting down and I like slammed my beer down and just went insane. And my parents, I think my dad was like outside grilling or something, and he like runs his eyes like, what happened? And I was like, we have to rewind this. And then of course that picture it should be in the Louvre. I mean, it's beautiful. It was insane. It was so freaking clutch. He had to work so hard for that. Like, that's not a given catch to anybody. It was lovely.
Dare I
what
say
a guy.
Danny Cole-esque.
Danny Cole-esque.
Dare I say.
Oh, man. Shelton?
He's a dog, man.
Where were you in relation to where that was? Because
yes, I was on the closer to the north side, closer to the student section, about 5 rows or so. Actually, I could not see Steven when he landed on the ground, so I was kind of waiting on the reaction from everyone else. I saw him dive for it, but didn't see him make the catch. But yeah, we got to find a way to get him more targets, man. He's a dog.
Yeah, we got a very good problem right now, which is how to feed all of these dogs on our wide receiver unit, because we have a bunch of them, and we got a handful of them waiting in the wings too. So we got plenty of mouths to feed. So it's a very good problem to have. I'd like to see us do a little bit more of it, especially if we can get the running game going early to set them up for some big plays later in the game. So
100%. By the way, Stephen Gosnell leading the team in receiving yards right now at 126.
Who had that on their bingo card? After week 2. I love the guy, but I don't think any of us had that on our bingo card.
Nope, not at all. Maybe I would have had him on my bingo card for converting third downs, because that's what he does all the time.
Fair.
All righty, let's go in it. We went with a lot of more good things this week, but let's go with what went bad. And I think we're all there, and we kind of hit it a little bit already. And it's just another slow start on offense. Not the first drive. The first drive, we get into the territory we need to get into, get down to the 35, and everything stalls. But it was the subsequent ones after that. And again, Brian, you mentioned a few minutes ago, not until really the Jay Lane touchdown do we get sparked. So, we've talked about it a lot already. I mean, is this the week that everything changes?
You hope it is, right? You hope it is. And you hope that we can finally get past this confidence issue. And I feel like it snake bit us against Vanderbilt. We came out, we had a couple drives that didn't go well. Then we have the turnover on the tipped screen pass, and then it feels like we're kind of getting in our own way a little bit. And I think it's still a confidence issue, and I'm hoping that we've kind of gotten that past us a little bit, because we've seen the ability of this team, even with the offensive line struggles we've had. We've seen that they have the ability to put up points and score the football. We just got to be consistent, and we got to be able to do it coming out of the gate.
Miranda, you follow NFL teams. What do you see and what do you read when there's a struggle out of the gate with NFL teams?
Preparedness. I mean, going back to that, and I really would. I would look at coaching. Like, why is your team also? Well, let me back up, because the NFL, because I follow the draft so closely, and the team and you see that the offensive line can shift a lot, right? But like, you have a whole off season, and Pry said it before the game opener against Vandy. He said, this is like, we feel the best about this line. And he had the confidence out loud, but it doesn't necessarily, crystallize on the field, like Brian said, like out the gates. And you just wonder, it's like, do we try something else? At what point do we try something else? At what point is it? Because they are capable, but it's inconsistent. And that can be frustrating to watch when you have all these weapons that are just waiting in the wings.
Yep, it's very true. Sheldon, anything with you? Let's just kind of put the cap on the bad and to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, O-line wise, obviously struggled to run the ball in the first half. Caden Moore did not grade out particularly well at right guard. And obviously, Lath Gannon really struggled at left guard. I mean, they had to, so much so that they had to kind of take him out towards the end there. But he graded out as a 43 and really didn't do anything in run blocking. So, they made a change there. I also think, like I said, they struggled to identify some of those edge blitzes, and I would assume that's probably a protection issue. And Drones was pressured on 50% of his dropbacks. So it's not a good number. It's got to get better.
It does.
I just think it starts with the protection. And again, part of that's Kyron, part of that's receivers, part of that's O-line. Like there's a lot of blame to go around, but I just think everything was out of sync in that first half.
Brian, I'm going to ask you.
I was going to say part of that is establishing the run early and get your quarterback comfortable with those, low-hanging fruit, those easy completions, getting everyone comfortable. And I thought they did a pretty good job with that on the first drive, and then it stalled. And then I feel like they went away from that. They didn't get him comfortable in the passing game at that point going forward throughout the rest of the first quarter and most of the second quarter. And I think that was probably where the struggles were, is that you lose a little bit of that confidence, and then you're kind of back at square one, because when your offensive line is inconsistent, it makes it a lot harder to play quarterback, just plain and simple. Oh, yeah. Because if you're getting sacked, you're getting chased around, sometimes you're seeing ghosts. There's a lot of things that happen there when you have a offensive line that's very inconsistent.
Let me ask you this, Brian, and this is almost an off-season topic. We always hear we're trying to mix and make guys learn positions. Is that something maybe what we don't have the capability to do on the offensive line? If you're a right guard, that's where you're going to play. You're going to learn every step. You're going to learn every play from there versus, well, no, you're going to try left. Then now we're going to put you out at right. Could that be an issue with the offensive line? It's the muscle memory in there with these guys, and they just don't have the capability, because we understand why you want to do it. You want to be prepared if somebody goes down, but it doesn't matter if you can't execute the play.
Yeah, I mean, cross training is important. We've talked about on here how important it is to cross train, especially the offensive line, having that position flexibility to be able to play guard and tackle. We got a bunch of guys that can play guard and tackle. We got a bunch of guys that can play, right guard, left guard. We got a couple guys that are kind of moving from guard to center. Our two primary centers are guards that have been kind of moved into that spot, right? So that's part of the problem. I think if it were me, I would have probably left Caden at center and maybe stood pat with that. I think what they were trying to do with that is they wanted to get that Caden Parker tandem back. I think they thought that worked a little bit better. And then have Xavier, who has played admirably at left tackle, along with a younger guy on the left side there. I just think maybe it's still taking time to gel. Things don't always happen out the gate. It's a big difference when you start playing teams with different colored jerseys on. So it does take some time for that adjustment to take place. So I'm not saying that it's not time to look for answers, but I'm also saying let's be a little bit patient, because as much as we want to win every game on our schedule, those ACC matchups are going to be a whole lot more important than a Vanderbilt or an ODU, teams that we, match up very well against from a talent standpoint.
100%. All righty. Just a couple more things on what went bad. Y'all, I know we talked about the good special teams, and I feel as far as the punt return goes, as far as the kickers go, they're excellent. But this is, again, the second straight week with a massive gap, and it really gave Marshall life when we have a block kick. And I got a little – Miranda, you listened to the presser. I was there not far behind you. Were you a little bit perturbed when Brent Price said, "Oh, they brought a guy off the edge and we didn't know what to do"?
He said the quiet part out loud.
He did.
I know.
But were you perturbed by that? Because I'm sure in your head while you're listening, it's like, well, Coach, wouldn't you just – we haven't seen this. We have three of them.
Let's readjust. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a trend we're seeing, is that sometimes I think Brent is a little slow to take a timeout just because there's a problem. I think he sees things a little bit quicker on defense, and I think he's a little more attuned on offense. I think we're seeing that maybe there's a little bit of a delay with that decision making when it comes to special teams, just because there are different moving parts that he's not as familiar with that unit. So, that may just be a gap that he's still adjusting to at this point as far as how to make those decisions in game.
Sheldon, anything? You were there live, and actually that happened towards the north end, right?
Oh wow!
Anything you saw?
I did. I mean, I thought Peter was a little bit slow. I could see it coming from. Like when they got that rush off, I was like, "This does not look good." I thought Peter was a little bit slow getting the punt off. But, Coach Price said that, they hadn't seen that look before, where basically the guy guarding the receiver bails. And it was a great play call by Marshall. You bail right before, run laterally, and then the second the ball snapped, you go after the punter. I don't know if maybe Marshall saw something on film that, they felt like they could get away with that. It's certainly possible, but I think you should give them a little bit of credit, just because from what Pry was saying, like that's not a play call you see very often, and they talked with some NFL teams like about that play, and I guess it happens once every so often. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you should be prepared for everything, but it seems like they just don't really see that a lot.
All righty. Well, let's go to the things we were not prepared for. Miranda, your shot, anything in the game you were not prepared for statistically, in game, etc.
I think, and Shelton, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I had read that we gave up another 4 sacks this week for a second week in a row. Is that right?
I can fact check 1 second.
And it's so, again, and I hate to shit on the O-line consistently, but you just can't do that. Because I say all these other things like, oh, we couldn't get third down going, we couldn't do this. Well, yeah, you can't when your guy is getting, and I know 4 isn't outrageous, but that's 2 weeks in a row, 4 sacks. It's just, I thought we would come out a little bit more prepared than that.
All right. And it was 4.
All right. Okay.
It was 4 sacks. So, yeah. Sheldon, you were there. You obviously probably watched some of the tape. We know you do. You read up some of the stats. What about you? Anything you were not prepared for?
Yeah, not prepared for. I would say, I wouldn't call it lackluster, but I'm a little bit disappointed by the passing game. It just seems like it hasn't been, quite clicking. And, I'd love to get Brian's thoughts on this, but it seems to me like VT is a team that has to run the ball well to move the ball. I think Drones is not a prototypical drop back passer. I think he's best when he's doing RPOs, bootlegs, get it out in space, get away from the O-line, throw downfield. It just seems like other teams are forcing him to, kind of sit back in the pocket and dissect zone defenses, cover 3, cover 4. And I think he's kind of struggled with that. So, that's been something that I was certainly hoping for a little bit more there, just because of, what we expected with his development in the passing game. It just hasn't quite been there. I think right now it seems kind of off. You look at the targets, some guys aren't getting a ton of catches that you would normally expect. So I certainly think the passing game leaves a little bit to be desired. And I was a little bit underwhelmed by, kind of what we've seen through 2 games and certainly on Saturday.
Yeah, Sean kind of hit it on the head there. I think Kyron does a lot better with the RPOs, when you can move the pocket, get those half field, 1-2, like a high-low read and things like that. I think he does a lot better with those things. And it's a lot to process. If you've got a full field, 3 or 4 progression read, and defenses are in your lap a little bit because offensive line's a little inconsistent. So I think it's the combination of those things where we're dropping straight back in those 3 and 5 step drops a little bit more than we did last year, where it was more RPOs, moving the pocket, letting Kyron do what he does best, which is deliver a ball kind of off platform on the run. He is very accurate and very good at doing those things. I just think we haven't seen a lot of those. And I feel like we get better when we start throwing some of those elements in there. I think some of those big plays that we saw against Vanderbilt were off of that type of action. To get Ollie Jennings open one time, to get Jay Lane open one time. Those couple of big plays we saw against Vanderbilt were off of that. I think we need to kind of maybe get back to our identity and understand that maybe simplifying things a little bit is the way to go, because we saw success with that. And I think the other thing with the passing game is that, I don't think we can go another game with Ollie Jennings registering a 0. You got to get him the ball. He is too talented not to be able to get behind the defense. And I think they were doing a good job of like not letting us take the top off the defense. They definitely were saying, if you want to matriculate the ball down the field in the passing game, by all means. We're not going to play a lot of man. We're going to play zone. We're going to make you throw into tight windows. These are not things that I think are our strengths. I think we can do them, but they're definitely not our strengths. I think we need to, again, lean on the running game, so they have to get out of that look where they can't just sit back and wait on us to do something underneath. So that's my take there, and I think if we do that, we'll be okay.
Understood. All right, mine was what turnaround for the linebackers. That room was we in here we gave a little bit of a shellacking last week. All intentions purposes for good, but they played so significantly better. They were in the right spots, with the exception of the one big play, the 69-yard run to A.J. Turner. You take away that big run, it was 25 for 70 per run. That's that's borderline like 2.3, which is nothing. So but it's good to see that. That's the confidence growing, and that's what I like to see. Brian, we're gonna wrap this up real quick because it is getting late. We don't want Miranda to miss her bedtime. Gotta mess with
Old
you there.
lady.
Ain't the only one. But Brian, one thing you feel we've got to do this better moving forward against ODU and the rest of the season.
I mean, it's low-hanging fruit, right, with pass protection. If we can give our quarterback a little bit more time, if we can do those little things better in the passing game with communication of blitz pickup, I think we're going to be in a good position going forward, because we know the talent at the skill positions are there. So take care of your quarterback, block for your running back. Good things are going to happen.
Sheldon, what about you?
Yeah, well, to hammer home your point about the rush defense, that 69-yarder was really the one big play that Marshall had, and it goes to show how averages can be misleading. Because I think Marshall's average yards per carry
5.7.
Right. Yes.
5.7.
Right, but you take that 69-yarder out, and it's really good. I think it was under 3. So that's why we have stats like success rate, which look at if you were successful on each play. And I wasn't quite able to get rushing success rate from that game in particular. But you look at run stuff rate. Stuff rate is the percentage of runs that are stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. So Tech had a 15% run stuff rate against Marshall on defense. That's really good. That was the bottom first percentile for all FBS games this year. So they were really good. Just forcing 0 or negative yardage plays was really helpful. So again, yards per carry averages can be misleading sometimes. You take out the big gainers, look at just success rate on a down by down basis. Tech did a really good job defensively.
Miranda, one thing you feel we have to do better moving forward.
Brian said the word earlier, and I'm just going to steal it, but bring the damn swagger. Like, not an official game note, but like, come out. I don't even care. Come out cocky. It might bite us in the ass, but get out there. Like, we do have the playmakers to be cocky about. Do what we do best. Let's see what happens. We've played this team. This isn't a new team. Like, we don't have that excuse. So we believe we're prepared, right? Run the ball.
That's right.
Run the ball. That's our buddy, Coach Robbie Compton, who's going to be in the head coaching chair as his head coach is going to be out for 6 weeks with a foot surgery. So Robbie's going to be running defense and running head coach down in North Carolina high school ball. Robbie, Godspeed. I'm going to close this out real quick, and I'm going to steal this. Andy Bitter, shout out. I listened to Tech Sideline the other day. Love those guys over there. And he said it. He's like, we've got to establish the identity. And I mentioned to y'all in here a little while ago and to a couple other people, when we established our identity last year, Ali wasn't here. Gosnell wasn't quite there yet developmentally. We really didn't have a tight end threat. It was Quan and it was Jay Lane along with Tootin and Drones. RPOs, we ran the ball, read options, we ran, we got them set up, we took shots, we found RPOs, little posts, little slants. We've got to establish the identity. And this is the week it's got to start. Last year, it took to week 5. This year, it's got to be at week 3. And I think that is going to be what we said. Put it back up there, what Robbie said just a second ago. It starts with running the ball. Run the ball. Everything else will flow downhill naturally. Miranda, we appreciate you coming on with us tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. That was fun.
And we thank you for joining us because honest truth, it's awesome. I read the articles. You are doing a fantastic job. If y'all have not, go to boundarycornerbt.com. Check out both of Miranda's articles, some little game recaps with some little news notes, her takes. It's entertaining. I'm going to say that. It definitely keeps you
I've got a style.
You definitely do. But listen, you take care. We will definitely have you back on very shortly. And appreciate it. Take care.
Enjoy your time with Gary. Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Icy Hot Pro with 2 max strength pain relievers. Targets multiple pain receptors. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros. Word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
All righty. So, as y'all know, we are brought to you by Counts Family Pharmacy, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, 301 South Main Street in Blacksburg. And now we flip over to Know the Enemy. And tonight we actually have a special guest, one of the first times we've ever done this. So, Brian, you've been talking with our guest tonight, so I'll let you do the introduction.
No problem. So as you guys know, we are a College Huddle podcast here. And one of the big benefits of being a part of something like that is that you get to communicate with these other podcasts throughout the country, especially when you've got common opponents and things like that. It's going to be a big boost for us. And one of the things we can do is get a guy in here to talk about a team like ODU that knows them like the back of his hand, just like we do Virginia Tech. So we're going to welcome Gary Williams on with the ODU Monarchists. Gary, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you all for having me on.
Appreciate you joining us tonight, Gary, and taking a little bit out of time. Gary, also, we saw you are here in the RVA with us. So That's great to hear. We got a lot of RVA podcasts going on. Just give us a little bit of insight yourself, how this started with your podcast and what you do for fun.
Yeah, well, I graduated from ODU in the spring of 2009, so I was like just a couple months away from football restarting there in the fall. Been fully involved with the team in some capacity since then as a fan, alumni, donor, all that good stuff. But our group ODU Monarchists, we started as a Twitter DM group chat back in 2019. And, 2019 for us, that was a 1-11 season. It was not a whole lot of fun. So we're kind of looking for people that were like, all right, we know we're awful this year. We've got stuff to look forward to, kind of like-minded people that were trying to be a little bit more positive about ODU football. So it evolved from that to a tailgate group. And then in 2022, we launched a podcast, mainly just covering football and men's basketball, a couple other things. Now we have our website as well, odumonarchists.com. So we pretty much cover every sport at ODU. A couple different podcasts now, including the official men's basketball show for ODU. Nice. We are big partners with the Pride of ODU NIL Collective when that came online. So we do a lot of in-person events with them, podcasts, different things like that. Just doing everything we can to promote ODU athletics, our student athletes. And then the other wing of what we do is really focused on charities in the 757. Every year, usually our last home football game, we partner with the Marine Corps to do a Toys for Tots drive. So each year we've exceeded our goals there. The Marines bring out some like armored personnel carriers that kids can play in, and we fill it up with toys. We get the F-18 flyovers, all that fun stuff. So just kind of looking to serve the community and also, taking care of what we love, and that's Old Dominion athletics.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear that. I love to hear how you're involved in the community, how you kind of got a great relationship with the school there. So, looks like you guys are hitting it on all fronts. So congratulations on that and well done.
Yeah, thank you. We're still trying to just grow this thing as big as possible right now, extend our reach a bit.
Very nice. Good luck to y'all on that, man. Obviously, both of us being a part of the College Huddle Network, we wish y'all nothing but the best. And obviously, it's great to have that chance to create these relationships where when our teams play each other, we can get a little insight for the other team. And let's start with that tonight, because I want to start with the ODU defense, because right now I got a feeling you're going to tell me things aren't going great, because from the look of it, you guys are 108 in rush defense. So give me a little background and what we should expect from defensive coordinator Blake Slyer's 3-3-5 defense, and what sort of identity is he trying to establish with that look?
Yeah, well, defense is actually the stronger side of the ball right now. I know they're lower in those rankings. We played at South Carolina, played against East Carolina, and a lot of the points that the defense has given up is because they're on the field so much. Last weekend against East Carolina was really like our almost most even time of possession game. But you go look at South Carolina, some of the games last year, our defense is on the field for 38, 39 minutes a game. So fourth quarter getting gassed a little bit. But you're going to see some 3-3-5. You're going to see some 3-2-6. You're going to see some funky looking nickel coverages, 3 safety packages. You're going to see a lot out of the defense. You probably won't see the same look twice, either up front or back in the secondary. When Blake Slyler originally came to ODU, we actually ran a 4-2-5. We were actually in pretty good shape with that. We kind of have adjusted based on personnel. But you're going to see a lot of blitzes from a lot of different places. We blitz a lot, whether it's from one of the linebackers, safeties, corners. We try to vary it up quite a bit. South Carolina ran the ball pretty well against us. If you look at the total yards, they were still around like 3.1 yards per carry. We did probably our best job defensively, stopping their kind of power run, power option looks. I think they went into that game saying, we're in the SEC, we're bigger than you in the trenches, and we're just going to run all over you. They were doing okay with that, but we were able to kind of get a lot of stops on third down. So, both of the touchdowns South Carolina scored were off of fumbles, and they started inside our 10-yard line. So we're kind of going into Saturday thinking we probably should be 2-0. We just shot ourselves in the foot way too much.
All right. So that's a good amount of confidence, and I can appreciate that. And as a team that's coming off playing a Marshall team that was really good up front, even if they were a little weaker on the back end, telling us that you were going to have some blitzes and struggling with some blitz pickup. That's definitely something we got to keep our eye on because we've struggled with that so far. So we're talking about, what you do. Let's talk about who does it. What are some of the playmakers on this defense?
Yeah, there's quite a few that have stood out early in the season for us. Koa Noatala, he has filled in at linebacker a lot for Jason Henderson, who's not fully back yet. I think he had 18 tackles on Saturday against East Carolina. You won't be able to miss him if he's on the field. He has a nice Troy Polamalu flow coming out the back of that thing. But he's usually a weak side linebacker in the 3-3-5 or the 3-2-6. He's on that side. Jerron Manning, JUCO transfer that came in this year. He's back at safety. He's usually one of the three safeties that's back there. He is probably our best guy in the secondary. He can do it all. He's a bigger safety, so he can come up and run support. Great in coverage. Had 2 interceptions against East Carolina on Saturday. He's a ball hawk. He runs fast and he hits very, very hard. So those are 2 guys to look at. I know everyone probably wants to hear about Jason Henderson. He tore his ACL with about 3 games left to go in the season. Tried to make a go of it in the South Carolina game, but you could clearly see he was dragging that leg. I mean, he's not a super tall guy, but he's really well built, and you can actually see the size difference in his legs from where he's been recovering. So he did not play against East Carolina. Don't know if he's going to play on Saturday. I would be surprised. I think with us having a bye week and then going to Bowling Green, we're probably trying to take care of him the best we can because he's likely to get drafted. But also, our focus is really going to be on winning Sun Belt games and trying to get in the Sun Belt championship game at this point. So, he's not likely to see him, but I'm sure you remember him from a couple of years ago when he was a little bit younger out there at linebacker. And he's a high motor guy. He's the heart and soul of the defense, but they've done a really good job in his absence.
Yeah, obviously, this is our other co-host, Jonathan Talley, who's a little under the weather tonight. He is right. Henderson is a stud, and from our vantage point, we're the opposite of you. We hope we don't see him Saturday at all. Let me throw one other guy out there that kind of caught our eye. Give us a little insight on Mario Thompson. Mario Thompson, obviously, he's a local kid to us here in Richmond, went out, played at Trinity. 3-star when he came out a couple years ago. Where do we see him on the defense? Because I know he's considered a linebacker, but where's he playing exactly?
Yeah, you'll see him at linebacker when we have 3 linebacker sets out there. A lot of times if we're running kind of that 3-2-6, he is the third safety that is on the field, technically a safety. So you'll see him line up all over. I mean, he got a lot of playing time against East Carolina with Jason Henderson out, and he played really, really well. I think he was second on the team in tackles. I saw him line up with a hand in the dirt outside of the defensive end. I saw him middle linebacker, and I saw him basically at the sticks 12 yards down the field on a 3rd and long. So he's going to be everywhere. I think his speed and athleticism and being a little bit leaner than maybe your prototypical linebacker has paid some dividends for him. He had some great stops in the game against South Carolina. I don't think their quarterback wants to see Old Dominion again because Mario Thompson was in his face on a lot of those kind of boundary type runs and quick pops and things like that. But yeah, he's young. He's still developing. He hasn't had a ton of playing time yet, but our linebacking position group is without a doubt the strength of our team. I mean, we were missing Jason Henderson. He was kind of on one leg for the first game, and they were still our strongest unit. So lots to like about him. Koa, EJ Green, who's in his second year with us after transferring in from Duke. We have some dudes at linebacker and rotate them very, very often.
All right. So you talked about that strength. Were you going to say, Curtis? Sorry.
I was going to see, make sure, Shelton, you didn't have anything data-wise, stat-wise that you wanted to ask.
I got a couple in the offense, but you can.
Got it. We'll roll it. He says he's got his offensive stuff together.
Keep it moving. So since we're keeping it moving, you talked about the strength of that defense. Where are some of the areas of weakness on the defense? And which area has you most concerned heading into this game on Saturday?
Well, I think the 3-man front is kind of the weakness for us when they don't have someone blitzing. In running plays and things like that, they do fine. But we saw it against South Carolina, saw it a lot against East Carolina. 3rd and 10+, we're dropping 8, we're rushing 3. The quarterback's back there baking a cake, doing his taxes, plenty of time for the routes to progress, and converted all but 1 first down on 3rd down when we dropped 8 in coverage. When we blitzed, they only converted 1 for the whole game. So I think it's more from a play calling standpoint of if we're in 3rd and long, we have to blitz. Otherwise, we're not going to be successful. That defense is at its best when it's very, very aggressive and blitzing a lot. May get a bit burned every now and then. We got burned on 2 runs against East Carolina with it, but sending 3 and dropping 8 is basically my nightmare when I see it unfold on the field, and I'm just ducking my head until I hear a whistle, and I'm hoping it's not because someone's in the end zone.
So you're not getting home with 3 very often then.
No, you're 3 on 5, especially if they're SEC. East Carolina had a great front 7, and I know Tech's defensive front is really, really tough too. So our offensive front is pretty tough. So yeah, 3-man front's not going to get it done. We got to at least send one linebacker to make things spicy.
Now, let me ask this, because with that 3-5, do y'all have a true nose, or are y'all playing more of like, what is it, Brian? Probably like a 2-shade eye, trying to make it off-centered inside there?
Yeah, we're usually off center. We don't necessarily have a true nose tackle. Denzel Lowry is probably that guy. Wears number 8 up the middle.
Okay.
He's had some pretty good success there, but typically we are shading to one side or the other because usually someone's either firing from a gap or firing from the outside from the linebacker or the secondary. So we're trying to create that leverage on the offensive line.
Yeah, usually that's more of a one gap. Even though it's a 3-man front, it's usually one gap versus a 2 gap. With the 3-3-5. So most of the time there's going to be a shade situation there. But yeah, so I mean that kind of wraps up what we want to talk about on the defense. I appreciate that, Gary. Let's flip it over to the offense. You got offensive coordinator Kevin Decker running that up-tempo offense. What can we expect from that offense, and kind of what are some of the bread and butter calls in that offense?
Well, the offense is a bit of a dumpster fire right now. They have been terrible in the first 2 games. Even though it's good competition, we're just not doing the right things back there. It is a very up-tempo offense. You will not see us huddle. When a play is over, we're going to the line immediately. And if you're not set, if you got the wrong personnel, we're going to snap it with 35, 36 seconds on the play clock and go. If we don't like the look, then we'll kind of back off and snap it around about 25 seconds. So a lot of plays, it's going to move quickly. This is basically the same offense that they run at Tennessee right now under Josh Heupel. It's very much a spread. We will have a receiver on both sides of the field outside the number on pretty much every play. We're going to make you defend the whole width of the field there. But really, truly, it's a running offense because the idea is to spread them out, get mismatches and leverage up front, and be able to run the football. That's when we were at our best last year. Is when we were able to do those things and move the ball down the field. I don't feel like the offense has ever fully clicked, and I don't know if that's personnel or what it is. We have a lot of problems up front on our offensive line as well. But when it clicks, it goes fast. I mean, we're talking 3 plays, 75 yards, 22 seconds have come off the clock, and it's a touchdown. We'll go 3 and out the next 6 drives, and you're always just waiting for like that one big chunk play that's going to bust it open. That's why I feel like we've been in so many one-possession games because the defense has been strong, and the offense hits those big plays every now and then to just keep us right in the game. I think you asked about bread and butter calls.
Yeah.
Ton of RPO looks, a lot of RPO alerts. So you truly have the run-pass option there. You're going to see a lot of interesting delayed routes on the outside where we usually run like stacks. So for 4 wide, we've got 2 receivers cleat to cleat on the outside the numbers. So you're going to see a lot of funny things with that where it looks like a screen and then it's a slant and then it's a go and the other guy's running kind of a wheel route. It's some really weird route combos that happen out there. So we run a lot of that. Where we've been struggling right now is we have no short and intermediate passing game over the middle. So East Carolina, they put 6 in the box even when we had 4 wide. They just trusted their single coverage and that they would get home to get pressure before the ball could get out. And that's what they did to us all night. And it killed us in the running game from that way because we were outnumbered. And then it killed us in the passing game because the O-line could not hold up the pass block.
I imagine we're going to come with a very similar roadmap because that's what we like to do anyway. And that kind of plays a little bit into what we do well. So I expect a lot of that on our side, trying to play as much man as possible, trying to get after the quarterback as much as possible. And we'll hopefully hold up in the rushing attack and keep that in check. But Yeah, so you got the bread and butter. Shelton, do you have anything on the offense as far as the team is concerned that you wanted to throw in here?
Yeah, so I was looking up the stats for Grant Wilson at quarterback. It's kind of funny you mentioned the lack of the intermediate passing game. You know, statistically, ODU doesn't throw deep a ton. They do go over the middle a lot, and those intermediate throws are just not being very efficient with them. So I assume that's kind of a major problem. But for Wilson, he had a pretty decent game against VT last year, from what I recall. PFS stats not great. Not very kind to him so far. Kind of right around 43, which is rough. And he's also been pressured 30 times, which is the most among all Group of 5 quarterbacks thus far. So I guess I'd ask you, for Wilson, what have been the weak spots for him this year, and do you think the O-line has maybe made things a little bit more difficult for him?
The O-line's definitely been a problem, just protection in general mixed with some play calling. A lot of our routes that are even intermediate and deep are longer developing routes. They're keying off another receiver. Sometimes they're choice routes, things like that. So he has been under pressure a ton. He has been flushed from the pocket a ton. And really, like our short game that we've hit is usually like quick curls, quick hitches to the outside, kind of some tunnel screen action too. That's where we've been like, that's our short game for the most part. We do run a ton of deep crossers. So you'll see guys come from the outside the numbers all the way to the numbers on the other side. I think Grant, he had fumble problems at South Carolina. Both of the fumbles that were there were the ones inside our own 10 that led to those touchdowns and really why we lost that game. He was a little bit better protecting the ball, I think, against East Carolina, but almost more of not risking throws, which is problematic in our offense. You need to take those deep shots when you get them. But really, like all the difficulties he's having stem from the offensive line. We faced two good ones for sure. Kyle Kennard at South Carolina is one of the best edge rushers I've ever seen in person in my life. I mean, he was blowing past the left tackle like he was standing still. But we've got to clean up that pass protection because he is getting pushed out of the pocket in under 2 seconds in most spots. So he's not even on second read before that happens. But his status for Saturday is actually very, very much in the air right now.
Yeah, we were reading about that. Are we expected, if he can't go, are we going to see Colton Joseph, or are we going to see somebody else further down the depth chart?
I got to tiptoe around this one because I know the answer and I'm not telling it.
There we go. Okay. I respect that.
I'll give you a rundown of who's behind Grant. So Colton Joseph, redshirt freshman, is from California, dual threat guy, a little bit bigger than Grant, big arm, ton of confidence. We've seen in spring ball, hasn't looked great in practice, especially with pass accuracy and decision making, which this offense is very much, all right, I've got to know what choice my receiver is going to take because they have 3. So you have to be in sync with your receivers and know your timing. He has not played in a game for us at all. If it's not Grant, it will be someone who has not taken an FBS snap in at least 2 years. So got that. Got Quinn Hennicle is a true freshman. He just joined the team in summer camp. Probably not likely to play, but he's like if you cloned Grant Wilson. They look the same. They got the same build. They move the same on the field. They run the same style of offenses and things like that. He's an option. And then Emmett Moorhead, who was a transfer this offseason from Boston College. Emmett played some at BC, got hurt, and didn't play much after that. All 3 of these guys are dual threats. Colton Joseph is probably the faster of the group. He kind of runs like a deer, and he is a lot stronger than he looks. So if you're a corner that's 165 pounds and you go for the big hit on him, you might wake up looking for your mouthpiece because he's a big boy. So you'll have to wait and see when the first offense comes out who is in at quarterback. Because I will not be the one to let that cat out of the bag.
I can appreciate that. Curtis, what you got?
Well, we'll know at 6:00. Let's talk a little bit about y'all's running game. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a struggle this year, but it looks like you guys are leaning pretty heavy on Aaron Young, who's leading the team in rushing. And how's Bryce Duke going? That's a former Hokie that transferred to ODU this offseason. How much PT is he getting? And, just a little bit about the running back room.
Yeah, well, I'll start and stay on the injury theme. Devin Roche was really slated to be our top running back. We were going to rotate a lot of guys, but he was the bell cow. He is the elusive back, super fast. You will lose him in the crowd, and then he's in the end zone. He's super quick. He got a nice welcoming down there in Columbia on the opening kickoff. Some guy just tried to go can opener on his shoe with his foot still in it. So he has not touched the field since then. Don't know his status for Saturday. Would imagine similar to Jason Henderson, bye week coming up at Bowling Green. Probably not likely. So Aaron Young has carried the bulk of it. He can be elusive as well. He's a little bit more of a power runner. They run a lot of inside zone with him, a lot of inside zone counters with some pulling tackles, and we're able to do that. Hard-nosed runner. We've seen him take some snaps in Wildcat, some of our goal line sets. He's been doing great. Bryce Duke, I've talked to him a ton. I think I talked to him like a week after he committed to ODU and interviewed him. That's actually on our YouTube channel for ODU Monarchists. He's gotten some playing time. Hasn't found a lot of success yet. He had a rough fumble on a kick return against East Carolina that hurt us on Saturday. But I think he's just still getting a feel for this offense and trying to figure out the O-line in front of him, which everyone's trying to figure that out right now. But I think where he's going to be most useful for us is when he's lined up at running back and then goes out to the slot, able to do a lot of stuff in the short passing game here too.
Yeah, he definitely had some success with us in the passing game, whether it's like a pop pass or stuff like that, where we could get him the ball in space between the hashes and let him do some damage there. So he's definitely a threat from that standpoint. Before we flip it over, Shelton, do you have anything else on the running game for ODU you want to throw in here?
Not too much. I know their per rush averages aren't great. Duke around 0.1 and Young around 3.6. So yeah, I mean, we just know they haven't done much on the ground this year. Again, small sample size, strength of schedule. You played a really good South Carolina team, or at least what I think is a solid South Carolina team. So I was going to have to kind of wait and see how the rest of the season plays out.
All right, so let's move it outside. I know you've already talked a little bit about what they do from a receiver standpoint, a lot of choice routes, some of those delay routes. Who are the guys that are catching the passes out there outside the hashes?
Yeah, Deontay Vines is probably the first one that comes to mind. He transferred in from Iowa last year, and we may already have more offense than Iowa had all of last season, even though we've been awful. He's getting to stretch his legs a little bit with us. He is, as of summer camp, the fastest player on our team, which is impressive because one of our other wide receivers was a track star at South Carolina before coming here and playing football. He does a great job of getting in space. I think he's probably the best in our receiving core of being able to read defenses and make the best decisions in his choice routes so far. So he's definitely one that to watch out for there. Isaiah Page, he's been with our program for quite a while. Small, I think he's like 5'6", 5'7", small guy, but man, he is fast and he is elusive. Like if you're not in front of him, he's blowing past you. He had a big game against South Carolina. We got the opening kickoff in that game. We ran 2 plays, fumbled at the 7, and then South Carolina scored on 3rd and goal. So you can just feel the momentum just fall right out of it. Yep. We get the kickoff, first play, Isaiah Page busts his corner falls down, and he just goes for like an 80-yard or 75-yard touchdown pass. So he has that big play potential. He is also a brave soul because he's the one that will stand all the way on the other side of the field and catch a screen pass without looking at the cornerback screaming down on him. So tough guy. He was a little banged up at South Carolina, but he played the full game when we had East come to Norfolk. So really like him. But Kelby Williams played a good bit for us last year. He's going to be more of your far outside receiver. I think he only had 2 snaps in the East Carolina game, and one was a touchdown pass on kind of a busted play, and he just kept going on his deep crosser and was wide open. So a lot of guys there. No one's really stepped up to be the number one. Like we don't have the Ollie Jennings anymore, who would be like the clear number one guy. But I think that actually makes us a little more dangerous in the way we run our offense because you can't just say top corner on top receiver and shut it down. It makes us a little bit more dynamic in the receiving core.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. Let's talk about some of those areas of weakness. And I think you've already really highlighted this pretty good. But talk a little bit about what you see going wrong with that offensive line and what's maybe holding that offense back from taking that step.
Yeah, well, we plugged in a lot of new guys on the offensive line. We have 3 new starters there. For the one you want to watch out for the most, our left guard, Zach Barlev, was a transfer in from Illinois. Great guy. Like, if you think of Midwestern offensive linemen, like, he is the stereotype to a T. Super nice, but mean as hell when he's on the field. So we've had problems at left tackle with basically just not having the footwork and the speed to take care of an edge, not being able to identify stunts that are breaking back to the inside. Had some issues at right guard, but I think we've shored those up with the new person plugging in there. I doubt you're going to see the same O-line that we saw at East Carolina or South Carolina. I think there's some changes that have been made there, so you're going to have more new on the field. So I'm glad this game is in Norfolk and not Blacksburg, so they can actually have a conversation with each other. But yeah, like, they're getting beat on the outside, and when we adjust to kind of protect, all right, we're not going to let the edges beat us around the corner again. They come with a blitz right up the middle and blast their center right off the ball. So just really in the pass protection, they're struggling. We should have run the ball better against East Carolina, but we didn't have a single situation on the inside zone where the running back actually bounced it to the outside. We should know to do that because East Carolina did that exact play to us twice for 2 of their touchdown runs. But everything was just A gap all day. And it was driving us bananas sitting in the end zone, watching it and seeing it all kind of unfold in front of us. So there's that. And then just the route concepts being called are not matching the pressure that we're getting. The easiest way to beat a blitz is to throw to receivers in the vacated area, right? We didn't do that once, even though ECU was totally fine showing us exactly what they were going to do on defense. So offensive line and our offensive line protection problems are causing receiving problems and vice versa. So hopefully they're getting that worked out this week, potentially with a new quarterback. So that's a whole new wrinkle to this. I'm sure we'll see some new stuff, but potentially outstarting quarterback, potentially outstarting running back, our top tight end, who is like the go juice for our running game, who kind of does a lot to clear holes for us. He hasn't played a snap yet this season. I doubt he's going to be back on Saturday. So we've got a 300-pound offensive lineman that will occasionally wear an 83 and line up at tight end if you want to see something real fun.
All right.
I do love seeing big boys outside, so I hope we see at least a little bit of that.
Always fun to hear that. All right, one last question before we let you get out of here, Gary. Again, check out Gary, ODU Monarchists. I'm sure they've got a great preview episode for the Hokies, so if you want to wonder what the ODU fan is thinking about our Hokies, check out Gary's podcast over on College Huddle Network. What ingredients could lead to another Monarch upset of the visiting Hokies this Saturday?
Well, you already know there's some voodoo sprinkled in Norfolk when y'all come to town. Like, weird stuff happens. You get weird games. You get a guy who's now a pastor throw for like 500 yards.
Elevators break down.
Yeah, let me just comment on that. If you understand what the weight limits are in an elevator, that will not happen to you.
All right.
Leave it at that. I think for ODU on the field, the defense is going to need to repeat the performances they had against South Carolina. You all run somewhat similar offenses with a little bit better. You all have the better quarterback at that position. So we need repeat performance of that to let our defense keep us in the game. Offense has to either hit 2 to 3 big shots down the field for touchdowns or actually develop a short and intermediate passing game. If we do one of those 2 things on offense, I think we'll be in our 14th one-score game of our last 16 games. I think that'll keep us in it. So just keep playing tight defense, and at some point the offense has to click with whoever's going to be under center. But that's kind of the key thing. And, weird special teams play would help as well.
Oh, no, y'all never get those down there when y'all play us.
Yeah, let's not snap another one to Williamsburg this time, please.
Oh my gosh.
That had some distance on it, I will say.
Worst snap I'm going to go back. That might be the worst snap I've ever seen in my life. I feel like my kids play in the court in my cul-de-sac here. I've seen them snap the ball better than that one. And Brian, me and you, we threw things in this. This is my man cave. We threw things when that happened 2 years ago in this very room. So,
yeah, I still couldn't believe it. Like that's the farthest I've seen a snap go. So like now I know how far a long snapper can actually snap the ball down the field if it's not caught.
There you go.
We appreciate you coming on with us tonight, Gary. Like I said, go ahead and shout out your socials. Go ahead and shout out your website and let the folks know where they can catch you.
Yep. At ODU Monarchists for pretty much all of our social handles, ODUmonarchists.com. Come take a look there. We've got a lot of interesting stuff there, some good previews. We'll have some other stuff coming out on there as well leading up to game day. But appreciate you all having me on. It was a lot of fun. Are any of you coming down to Norfolk this weekend?
We will not be there this weekend, but we're hoping for good things for the Hokies. We got to get that monkey off our back at some point down there in Norfolk.
100%.
All right,
Appreciate
awesome.
it, Gary.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right. Again, we appreciate Gary taking a little time out of his evening to join us, give a little bit more insight on the ODU Monarchs. Again, check him out. Check that out. Siegel went over there a little earlier this week. Had a little conversation with them. Correct, sir?
No.
You didn't? I thought were you supposed to?
We were talking, but we never got it going.
Yep. We'll still go listen to those guys because clearly I'll give Gary all credit here, man. Looks like Gary knows his stuff. Very focused. So probably got a lot of breakdowns of what they're looking at with the potential of what could happen to them with the Hokies coming to town. So again, thanks Gary for that. And now, boys, let's flip it over. We got to talk about the Hokie keys. And Shelton, what is some of your keys to a Hokies victory this week?
Yeah, well, I thought about this question earlier today. I feel like it'd be the most cliche thing ever to say get off to a good start, but I guess it applies. I'll say this. I want to see this team dominate the line of scrimmage. I mean, we've seen through 2 games now, they didn't dominate the line of scrimmage against Vanderbilt. They did for one, but not the first half. I just think I want to see them just, come out and punch ODU right in the nose. I think, if Tech is, in a dogfight with this team, like, 10-7 after the first quarter or 17-10 at halftime, like, I'm not going to feel great. Like, I think how you look matters, even if you win. And I want to see this team really dominate, have a stretch where, you score 2-3 touchdowns in a span of a quarter and, you shut out the other team. Like, we haven't seen this team really dominate and just bludgeon their opposition for a long period of time outside of that one stretch against Vanderbilt. So, just win the line of scrimmage, win those one-on-one battles in the trenches, and I think that's going to be the recipe for success.
Real quick, I want to throw Tally's in here. Basically, Tally says we've got to beat the road allegations. And I understand. I think every single person here understands what that means. This current coaching staff's road record is not great. Let's get one on the board. Let's get the momentum going for winning a game on the road. That is from our buddy Tally, who is out tonight.
Especially at a spot where we have the last couple trips not had
shit to bed.
Some good fortune there.
Shit to bed. There is nothing else to say. It's shit the bed. We've shit the bed the last 2 times down there.
Yeah.
What about
that kind of goes to my point. Like, we need to beat up on little brother, right? I mean, we've said it and we've talked about it. We are the flagship football program in the state of Virginia. What we should do is however you feel about this road trip to Norfolk. And I know a lot of people don't like it, and I get that, but we should not have a problem going down there and handling them for 4 quarters. I'm not saying we're going to put up 50 and shut them out or anything like that, but we should easily handle this game for 4 quarters.
Yes, we should. Yes, we should. By the way, whatever you said was absolute facts. You spoke to LeVar there. For me, and I feel like Gary, I said it to Gary, and I'll say it to y'all again. ODU is the 102nd ranked rushing defense in the country. They're giving up almost 180 yards a game. The rushing offense, we want a quick start, run it down their throats. Run it down their throats. The second is their rushing offense. Obviously they're missing a starter. The guy who's starting is effectively the backup. Yes, you do have Bryce Duke, but still they're getting 100 yards a game. So for our defense, play sound, don't play down. That goes back to what Brian said. And Sheldon, kind of what you're saying too. Go out there and just beat them up. Go play mean. And I always like this, and I know I think Tally coined this probably last year. Go make them, when it turns through the third quarter, I don't want to be here anymore. That's what I want to see. I want to see literally heads hanging like, man, they're going to make business decisions throughout the game, and it's going to be stepping out of our way. So there it is. And now we always put our names on it. We always make our predictions. I got a little text from Mr. Tally a few minutes ago. Tally's feeling a little bit of a heartburn for this game. He does think the Hokies win, but at a 28-17 clip. So put that on the board for Tally. Shelton, what you got?
I'll take Hokies 31-10. I think they're gonna come out pretty aggressive. I think this is a big opportunity where you have a chance to smack these guys in the mouth. If we do that, I'm feeling a lot better about where we are as a program. If it's dogfight, man, you're coming into next week thinking like, oh, we don't know what this team really is yet. So I think they'll cover. So yeah, give me Hokies by 3 touchdowns.
I've got 3 touchdowns as well, but I've got a little bit more scoring going on both directions. I've got this one coming out to 38-17. I think this is the week the offense puts the pieces together and goes out there and scores some points for the better part of the 4 quarters that we're going to watch on Saturday at 6 p.m. I think that ODU gets a touchdown late to kind of make it an interesting, a little more interesting contest there. But I think we're able to close it out, put it away. 38-17 is what I got. 3 touchdown victory for the Hokies.
All right. I'm actually not far from any of y'all whatsoever. I am at Hokies win 38-20. And I get a feeling with what he said about some of their problems with their rush defense, with their blitzing. There's going to be some opportunities one-on-one if we can pass protect, get the ball out quick. I think it's going to be actually kind of a role reversal of what happened with Marshall. I do think this is the week we come out quick and 38-20. But I think it's one of those games as we sit in the third quarter, it's like this game's over. They can't do anything against us. They're not going to be able to come back from this lead we have built up in the first 2.5 quarters. 38-20 Hokies. All righty. It's time. It's time? It is time. Week 3 of Big Screeners presented by the Counts Family Pharmacy. You know what we're going to do next year? We're going to let Jeremy make picks and pick a game. What do you think about that?
Oh, shit.
Can't wait for that. All right.
Is he going to make a video every week like Jason?
Oh, that'd be awesome. about half bottle into a Jameson's. All righty. But
hey, probably starting next week, Blacksburg on the Rocks is probably going to be the lead-in for our show, man.
It is. That's the plan. If we can get our crap together over on our side of the house, but
got to get the kids' sports schedules in line here.
Man,
they're wilding right now.
Is what it is. Can't do much about it. All right, so we got Big Screeners, big slate of games this week. Some good games. Actually, just so many games. We actually missed a couple. Like we do not have Alabama, Wisconsin on here. Again, we are put that on the board. Put that message up real quick. It was 39 points. It ain't like that thing went to 50. So get your head out of your ass.
Again, we said it on Twitter when he said, "Hey, you should have took the over." I'm like, bro, you said hammer the over.
You said hammer.
You didn't say squeak over the over.
You didn't say smoking heaters in the parking lot, hoping this hits an over. And it hit 37 with about 8 minutes to go. So yeah, but we got.
Yeah, hey, if you were betting, you made some money. So good on you, Yost.
Exactly, good on you. All righty, but by the way, that is now the 3rd time in the last 14 games that Iowa's hit the over. Statistics say bet the under. All right, so let's go to Big Screeners. Brian, you're up first. Where are you heading to for your Big Screeners game?
Let's go to K-State, baby. This is an interesting game for me. You got Arizona busting into a new conference. You got K-State, pretty good season last year. I kind of think both of these teams are a little overranked at this point. So I'm not really exactly sure what to expect from him, but it's 7.5 points there for K-State. I'm going to take that. I think K-State wins this by about 10. So give me K-State here.
This game is Friday night, 8:00. So definitely one you can just sit down and enjoy without looking at 50 other games. And I am right with you, Brian. I am laying that 7.5. I think the war that they got down at Tulane last week, where they barely squeaked by the Green Wave, I think that woke up Kansas State. I think Arizona is going to tumble to earth. Remember, it was the Jed Fish program last year. Jed's up at Washington now. And going into the little apple of Manhattan, Kansas, I think the Wildcats win this one pretty comfortably. What about you, Sheldon?
Yeah, I'm taking Arizona to cover. Kansas State was in a dogfight last week with Tulane. I agree with Brian. Both teams are probably overrated. And I think it's a Friday night game, and sometimes weird stuff happens on Friday nights. So I'll take the Cats to cover.
All right, the Cats to cover Friday, 8:00. Kansas State 14, Arizona is number 20. I am driving this week. Let's go down to Winston-Salem.
Hey, we got to get the other three in here, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Tally, Arizona. Sorry, man. When nobody's here, I forget.
You're good. Hey, rarely do we have three of us
here.
It's
usually
now
4
to
people.
read off the other three. So, hey, I'll let it slide this time. Tally's got Arizona. We got Miranda riding with K-State, and Jason is also riding with Kansas State.
But we're all on the Wildcats this week.
Here we go.
All right, now let's go down to Winston-Salem. Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart come in to visit the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, who are basically coming off an absolute choke job versus the Wahoos last week in UVA. What a line this is. 23.5 points. That is a monster to lay. So, Brian, I will kick to you first. Are you laying that many points?
Give it to me, baby. Wake, to me, answered the questions that I had of, can this team run it for 4 quarters? Can they keep up with the team that can throw the ball around a little bit? They showed me they could do it for a little bit. UVA came back in the end, pulled the upset there. Wake had a couple problems on offense that kind of turned that game late. I think Ole Miss is just going to be too much for them. I think it's going to be about a 28-point win. So 4-touchdown victory for the Rebs.
All right. And again, with this being my game, I'm taking Ole Miss as well. I think that offense is going to probably score every time they touch the ball. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. You like offense between Clausen's mesh and then in Lane Kiffin's offense, buckle up. Probably a big over in this situation. But I'm with you, Brian. I think it's eventually Ole Miss being the more talented team. They slowly pull away at the end, and it's probably going to be about 28. Sheldon, what about you?
Boy, 23.5, that's a lot of points. I think Ole Miss wins comfortably, but I think Wake Forest can score just enough to cover.
All righty. What else we got?
Tally is riding with you again, Sheldon. I think he's fully subscribing to, if Sheldon's got him, I'm rolling.
He's jumping in the car with Sheldon.
I was good last week.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't put that up.
I threw it at you. You let me. I can pull it back up here in a second.
Pull that back up. I felt good about last week.
Hey,
actually, most of us had good weeks.
Nobody did awful last week. All right, Miranda riding with Wake as well. Jason with me and Brian laying a lot of points. Saturday night, 6:30. On the CW. I wonder if they'll have the chopper down at Wake Stadium this week. So that will definitely be on the second screen here in the Wilson Man Cave. All righty. What did Tally go? Oh, no, Shelton, you're up next. Shelton, where are you going?
I'm going to the site of College Game Day, LSU and USC East. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting game. Kind of an upstart South Carolina team. They've got a really good pass rush. Defense looking pretty solid, but LSU good as well. I'm taking LSU in this one purely based off vibes. I think South Carolina is going to be a little bit too hyped up with College Game Day being in town. I think they're due for a letdown game, so I will take LSU.
I'm riding with LSU as well, Shelton. I'm not sold on South Carolina being more than a 6 or 7 win team in the SEC. So I think this is a game that circumstances align where there weren't a ton of compelling matchups. Like the best ranked matchup you had this week is for a team that just joined a conference that we led off with there. So there wasn't a lot of history, wasn't a lot of super compelling ranked matchups. I feel like this kind of fell in their laps a little bit, but I like LSU in this one by probably at least 2 touchdowns.
All righty. This one is ABC 12. I will have no shot of sitting with it, watching this one because I will be at the baseball field at about 10 o'clock. My cousin and his son are going to absolutely hate me. My cousin is a South Carolina alum. His son is a sophomore down there. I told him, like, he's telling him he's got to go. Like, he's just got to go. It is one of the most unbelievable experiences you've ever been to. But unfortunately, when I make a bet, I got to do it the right way, not where my heart is. LSU wins big, and here's the big reason why: their defense. You keep a Lincoln Riley offense under 30 points, you're doing good things. And I don't think South Carolina's got anywhere near that type of offensive talent. 21, I don't know, 24, 27, 14, something like that. We got Shelton on there. We got his LSU pick. Tally. Literally, Tally is just riding with Shelton.
Miranda throwing her money behind the Gamecocks there.
She's on the Shane train this week.
And then we got Jason riding with the Tigers. I do have an update here for us on how we did last week. I got 4 out of the 6. Curtis, you also got 4 out of the 6. Tally, 4 out of the 6. Shelton, 5 of 6. Good week for Shelton. Miranda, right on the 50% there. 3 out of the 6. Jason, the gambling guitarist, only 2. Only 2. He did get the money pick though, so
he did get the money.
We'll give him that. We'll give him that.
That is correct. All right. Even though Tally's not here, Tally's taking us out to Columbia, Missouri, where this is a ranked matchup. This is where I thought they were going to go. This is where I thought game day was going to go, was Columbia, Missouri, not Columbia, South Carolina. But you've got a ranked matchup with BC and Missouri, 1245 SEC network. Mizzou is laying 17 points. What do you got on this one, Brian?
You know what? I've liked what I've seen from BC. And I think for this one, for me, with that Bill O'Brien-led BC team, it's not so much that I think they're going to go down there and give Missouri a ton of problems. It's that 17 is too damn big for me to take with the way I've seen BC play so far. So I'll take BC and that 17.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's more of who the coach is right now at BC with Bill O'Brien. I don't think he's going to let his team get blown out by that much. And obviously we saw them have significant success against FSU. So I think they do have some confidence going down there. I don't think they can pull the upset, but I do think a lot closer than the 17 that the experts think.
Sheldon, what you got?
I am with both of you guys. I think Mizzou is absolutely legit. Like, they are a top 10 team for sure, okay. No doubt. But that 17 was just a little bit too much for me.
You're good. You're not 17 points good. By the way, just go boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. This is the consensus pick this week.
Yep. Everybody's riding with the Eagles, man.
Everybody's riding. 6 completely different personalities.
Soaring with the fucking Eagles. Let's
6
do it.
Completely different career paths. 6 completely different locations. We're all riding with the Eagles. Lay the 17 and hold on. All righty. Miranda, we should have let her announce this earlier. She is going down to the Swamp with the Florida Gators and the Texas A&M Aggies. Aggies, is that up there, Brian? I don't see it. There we go. Aggies are a 4-point favorite. So Gators getting points at home something you rarely see. Brian, where are you on this one?
There's a reason for it. That Florida team has looked like dog shit so far in the 2024 campaign. And I think it continues. And I think this is a game where we figure out if, Notre Dame has thrown out one great game and one dud, or whether A&M is just not that great of a team. I think they're going to prove that there's, they're a little bit more than that first game showed. So I'm going to take A&M to win by about a touchdown here.
I'm with you. I'm definitely going to lay the points here. Give Florida the 4 points. Just of where they are vibe wise, I think A&M. Yep, they lost to Notre Dame. I think Elko's a good enough to coach to turn them around. I think this is the one that it doesn't set the chair on fire, but they're dumping the gasoline on the chair after this week for Billy Napier. I think A&M wins. Give me something like a 27-17 game. Like, it's one of those that's probably not going to be in doubt the whole way for A&M. So, but probably entertaining. 27-17 Gators. Shelton?
Yeah, I like A&M. I just think I like Elko. I think they've just got too much talent on that roster not to start, putting it together eventually. So I think this will be the start of a good run for them.
All right. Tally's
riding with A&M. And then we got the two Gators on the tail end there with Miranda and Jason.
They're saying home game in the swamp with the Gators given 4 points. Looks like they're riding with that.
They're riding with the swamp effect.
All righty. So our gambling guitarist this week is taking it to Tallahassee.
Well, since my baby left, I found a new place to dwell. It's down in the lonely street, and I dread to tell where. And I've been so long, baby, and I've been so long, baby, I've been so long, baby. Welcome back to another week of Guitar Licks and Gambling Picks. I'm Jason Long. We got the dub last week when the Vols rolled over the Wolfpack. Looking to keep that streak going down in Tallahassee when Memphis takes on Florida State. Now, Memphis might be the home of the king, but the Seminoles are the ones who have been living in Heartbreak Hotel lately, having started the season 0-2. And things don't get easier this week when Memphis comes to town. They're probably the best team they've played yet. It's possible the Tigers head back to Bill Street 3-0. So I'm taking Memphis plus 6.5 on the road this week against Florida State. And if your baby leaves, you gotta tell the tale. Just take a walk around lonely street. I break hotels when and I've been so lonely, baby. And I've been so lonely, baby. And I've been so lonely.
All righty. There is Jason. Obviously, Jason with his rendition of Heartbreak Hotel by the late, great Elvis Presley. He is going Memphis. Give him the points. Brian, you riding with the guitar man, or are you pushing him off to the side?
I'm going with the fighting Silver Fields out there in Memphis, baby.
You have to, right? You have to, right? You can't. I mean, you got to tell a little backstory here.
So when I was a young buck just starting college, there was this very, very young assistant on our team, working with the DNs. At freshman year out there, I got to play a lot of scout team, got to know him pretty well. And that guy's now the head coach of the Memphis Tigers, Ryan Silverfield. So really good guy, really good coach. And even at the young age of, I think it was like 21 or 22 at the time, he had either just graduated or was graduating that year from Hampden-Sydney, was already a very good coach. And we see where his careers went since then. So give me them Memphis Tigers.
Yep, and I'm right with you on this. Give me the Tigers as well, just because of what we have seen from FSU the first 2 weeks. They just had a bye week. that's all good and well. But if DJU is still the quarterback and they haven't fixed any of those issues, I take the points because I think Memphis could win this game outright and send the Seminoles to 0-3.
Well, when I pick games, I tend to favor teams that have dealt with some adversity, especially early in the year. You know, they're kind of frustrated because I think they're going to bounce back. In this case, I think FSU would definitely bounce back. They will cover. I think they win by a pretty comfortable margin here. So I got the Noles. I think they're gonna come out pretty pissed off. They heard the noise, heard the criticism, and they're going to respond on Saturday.
All right, and Tally and Miranda got on the bus with Shelton, and obviously us Halifax boys are riding together tonight. So there's big screeners. Let's put the big board up there. Yeah,
There it is. There it is.
There it is.
Who did the best tonight? Y'all drop a comment in there. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know who you think has the best big board heading into the weekend.
Well, this is great, Brian. It's the Shelton Tally combo against me and you because look at that board.
Yeah,
exact same.
Great minds. Great minds. Great minds.
The question is, which great minds this week? We shall find out.
And maybe Miranda comes out on top because she's the only one I think with a couple left field picks compared to most everybody else there. So
she pivoted on a couple of them, man. So we'll see. All right, anything coming across the wire, coming across the Twitter sphere, coming across anything in the last few minutes, last few hours here?
Hey, we're all set, man. I think we're ready to punch it.
All righty. Well, that does wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast, brought to you by Counts Family Pharmacy in Blacksburg. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
And I'm Shelton Mock.
We are a part of the College Huddle Network. Visit our website, boundarycornervt.com, to listen to all of our episodes. While you're there, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any of your favorite podcast sources. We're there. As always, we let Jason play us in, play us out. And this year, we're letting our buddy Jason Long give us a little musical adventure in his gambling picks every week, which we have loved. I've known Jason since the 4th grade, y'all. So I've known him about as long as I've known Siegler. And Siegler, you've known him as long as you've known me. So he's our boy. He plays us in, plays us out. We love him. So as always, let's go.
Hokies.